First, your overwhelming response to our report last night on brain cancer patient Gary Ralph. Just 7 days ago, Gary was in a Sydney hospital for emergency surgery to remove an incurable brain tumour. Gary and his wife Wendy were hoping for an exemption to quarantine back in their Brisbane home. But as we told you last night, that was denied by Queensland health officials. Tonight they remain in hotel quarantine. There was a small reprieve, but Wendy says it's not nearly enough. I spoke to her a short time ago from their hotel room. Wendy, thanks for your time. The Queensland Premier said this morning that she wasn't happy with the way Queensland Health had dealt with your case, and that was several hours ago. That was early this morning. Can you tell us what's happened since?
We've actually been transported late this afternoon to another hotel now, but I looked at Gary and I just said, I can't believe this. She's passing the butt. She did not address it whatsoever, saying she's appalled. Oh, goodness me. She's not very appalled to be doing anything. She is supposed to be the Premier of the state. So to me, she is the one, that's where the butt stops. So she can't pass it on to the Health Minister or anyone else. If she chooses to do that, then to me, she shouldn't be at the helm.
She's obviously not appalled enough to give you an exemption from hotel quarantine, although I believe that you have been moved now to a Medi hotel, a hotel with medical facilities. Can you tell me what those facilities are like? I know you've only been there a short time, but do you think it's going to be better than where you were?
Well, it's definitely more comfortable where Gary and I are, this suite we're in. It's definitely, the food is definitely a better option because the way the other hotel was run, it didn't, it wasn't acceptable. I believe, so I haven't seen anyone yet. They're going to come and see us tomorrow, but the health department do have someone here on site for 24 hours a day, which in last night's situation, that would definitely help me, yes.
I want to talk to you in a moment about last night's situation and also about the food situation, but let's first of all hear from Premier Palaszczuk when she spoke about your case this morning.
I know, that's very distressing, and can I say I'm not happy with the way Queensland Health has dealt with that at all, okay? I spoke with the Health Minister, the Deputy Premier this morning. He's going to be speaking with the paramedics and the ambulance service about ensuring that transfers can happen. So, look, everyone needs to understand that this is, it's an awful situation that people are going through, and I've asked the Health Minister to address it.
All right, that was the Premier this morning. Up until an hour or so ago, which is when you were moved to the new hotel, is it the case that you were still expecting to be picked up by a taxi?
Yeah, that's correct. That's correct. And I'm not sure what happened because the nurse that was at our previous hotel had told us we were going by taxi, which I found astounding. And then we got a phone call about an hour after that telling us that now an ambulance was booked to bring us here.
Okay, so obviously the message from the Premier's news conference got through to someone in the health department. Tell me, how was your first night in quarantine last night in the other hotel?
Not good. Not good. Don't get me wrong, the hotel and the Gary's actually just off camera and he's very emotional at this point. That's why I turned my head, sorry.
I could see you turning your head. Do you need to see to him? Is he all right?
No, he's laying on the couch. He's okay. He's okay. He's just very emotional
Well,
at the moment.
It's been a huge 24 hours. Please, if you need to see to him, look after him and take a deep breath because I know you've had a rough day.
You right, love? Look at me. Are you okay? You sure? Yeah. You tell me if you're not?
Yeah.
Okay. No. Okay, no, we're good to go.
Okay. So I believe that Gary had a turn last night and you're not entirely sure what that was.
Okay, so the first thing that happened in the hotel, Gary has actually, since the operation, has also lost as much as losing his speech and a lot of feeling in his right arm, and he can't write anymore, and a few other little things. He's also lost his peripheral vision on his right side. And of course, so he misjudges things. I'm not exactly sure how he did it because I didn't see, but he ran into the wall. Because of his vision, he misjudged the wall, and he actually split open his hand. And he came in and it was bleeding quite profusely. And he's not on blood thinners. I had someone say, "Oh, that's because he's on blood thinners." No, he's not on blood thinners. He's not allowed blood thinners. So it's not blood thinners. It was a bad knock. I didn't know what to do. I quickly bandaged it all up. I have my own small first aid kit that I take with me everywhere, and I used that. I did speak with the nurse that was on duty at the time, but they finish at 4:30 at our previous hotel in the afternoon, and she said to me that I said that I needed more dressing for Gary, and she said that she would send that up. This has been the only hiccup as far as the medical side of things. We never ever received, even till we left, that extra dressing and bandaging. So,
Wendy, I am listening to you. You are describing your husband, who is only days out of having brain surgery, who has cancer that is incurable, who requires radiotherapy and chemotherapy. You're describing a man whose balance is off, who can't walk very well, he can't eat very well, he can't talk at all, and the Queensland Chief Health Officer thinks he is such a risk that he will breach home quarantine that he can't have an exemption.
I cannot believe this. Honestly, I never ever thought that this would happen in Australia. I didn't. I never even decided to go down to Dr. Charlie Teo and take the option of having a little bit more time. We never considered at all at any point in time that we were going to struggle to get back over the border. We had been nowhere. I know I've been told that apparently all of Sydney is a hotspot, but I've been in Sydney, and the 6 hotspots that are, according to New South Wales government, they do have hotspots. I never travelled to them. I spent most of my time at the hospital. I was either sitting outside the door of the hospital or I was in the hospital when I was allowed, because of COVID hours that was restricted. And rather than leave Gary and be away, I felt better that I was actually there with him. So,
Wendy, can I tell you, if I don't live in Queensland, I think you're such a low risk that you could come and live at my house if you wanted to. I think it's an abomination that this is being done to you. I think you are the sort of case that exemptions are for, and I wish that you could get one. I wish I had a magic wand, and I wish this wasn't happening to you. Do you think that you will cope a bit better in this new hotel? Will you be able to get through the next 2 weeks? I'm just so sorry this is happening to you.
No ideal. No, we're not going to give up this fight. If we don't intend to stay in this hotel for, it's not going to work for Gary. Yes, this one is definitely more comfortable. Yes, they have a nurse here, but still unfamiliar environment. It's still like last night, Gary refused to go to the hospital because they told him I couldn't go with him, and he would have to quarantine in hospital, and I would have to stay in quarantine in the hotel. He wouldn't do that. And it does now, because he hasn't had proper medical assessment, the team believe that Gary may have suffered a slight seizure. Now, because of what's happened, anyone that knows about seizures knows that stress will bring on seizures anyway. Gary's never suffered a seizure ever before. But with this brain tumour, he is susceptible to seizure.
Of course.
Of morning is that he continues to have these little seizures, it could develop into a full-blown seizure.
And here's the other contradiction. you were told last night that your husband could go to emergency, but you would have to stay in the hotel. You couldn't go to a hospital emergency with him, but you can
That's right.
accompany him to hospital for radiotherapy and chemotherapy treatment in the ambulance.
It makes
That's
no
part of the
sense at all, does
insanity of this. Honestly, I hang my head. Wendy, we will leave it there. I hope you manage. Sorry, am I interrupting you? What do you want to say?
Right. I was just going to say, as far as the Premier goes, for her to turn around and think that she's showing compassion by saying, oh, no, we're going to transport them in an ambulance now instead of an Uber or a taxi driver, that is not the ideal. That does have a concern for us. But in the whole scheme of things, the way we are transported there is small. It's about getting Gary into an environment that he knows, where he's going to be fed proper nutritional meals, where he can rest,
Yep.
where he can walk around blindfolded and will not run into things and become a danger.
Of course, I understand. I wish the Premier would understand. Look, thank you for your time. I think you need to go look after Gary right now, but let's
So much.
let's hope someone listens. Thanks, Wendy.
Yeah. Yeah.
They need to be at home. The Queensland Premier can still show Gary and Wendy some compassion if she is prepared to back down. Gary has grade 4 glioma. I watched a dear friend nurse her husband through that. Every minute is precious and he is fragile. He is exactly why exemptions exist.